Hi, my name is Peter Towers. I'm the gallery manager at Courtyard Arts. I'm going to be talking a little bit about Peter Gibbs and his exhibition here at Courtyard. When I first met him in 2006, when I first started as a gallery manager, I was immediately struck by his humanity, his intelligence, his liveliness, his wicked sense of humour. He was a great person to have around and have a chat with. He displayed an inner strength coping with his physical condition after a debilitating stroke. I found out that after being a successful barrister, his life had changed dramatically as mobility and power of speech was affected. I feel his work could be construed as naive, perhaps in the tradition of the Cornish fisherman and artist Alfred Wallace, where perspective is ignored and objects and scale are based on the relative importance of the scene.
His work could be read as a map of his imagination, which is always imbued with humour, relying on memory, particularly his love of Crete and Cornwall, ironically also a connection with Wallace. It represents a direct approach to image making and shows a love for colour and expression. The work appears improvised and spontaneous, depicting actual events in his life, which makes them so interesting. The paintings are alive and life-affirming. They should be viewed with an open mind and not bogged down by expectation and convention. The work is sincere and honest, made by a larger-than-life character.
I was about 14 years ago. It was a very unhappy time because my daughter died, and it was because I got feeling bad and it felt terrible. But I took out is the paintings, and I thought, yes, I would do it. For about 4 or 5 years then, after that, it was pretty awful. But you could feel it. There was better doing it.
Peter started painting around the time when our daughter died, and I think it was, very therapeutic for him. And he always used to say that he'd inherited her little paint box, so he got to learn to paint. And he really enjoyed it, actually, because neither of us had ever been involved in any kind of art before that. Initially he used to paint from holiday photos, but he'd always put Joanna in. So a lot of the pictures from the early years, when he was learning the skill of watercolour, I guess. And then he had the stroke about 3 years after, and that meant that he couldn't use his right hand anymore. So he had to go really right back to scratch and learn to use his left hand. And the local authority did some sort of art classes that helped him with that. That was when we were living in Enfield. So he began to sort of build up a new ability to do the paintings. And then we moved to Hertford and discovered the Courtyard. And so we were able to go to some classes. Peter went to some classes at Courtyard, first of all with watercolour, and then he's been with other teachers to do different things like mixed media and acrylics. And this is the result.
Yes.
But he's definitely, over the years, his style has changed quite a lot. And I personally think it's changed since before the stroke, but whether that's true or not, we've only got a few of the earlier ones left, so it's hard to know. But his use of colour has really developed the three that we've got before the stroke are more sort of representational, I guess, more realistic. more sort of detailed and accurate, and then he's become much more, I don't know what the word is, but less detailed at any rate. And he, you know, he's focused on the use of colour rather than on what he's actually depicting, I think.
One or two are just purely, but others are that one and those two.
They're real places.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
very much so.
So you quite like landscapes?
Yes,
You like the sea, you've
Yes.
also got the deserts and...
yes,
Yeah.
So
Not that we know the desert, but
I do.
most of the desert scenes are imaginary. But
Yes,
that's fine, you know.
So was that one from your trip? That was imaginary, but it's from America. Or was that trip?
We haven't been there, no. That's the Death Valley. It's done. I mean, he says it's not from photographs or magazines or anything, but it's done from his knowledge of what Death Valley looks like, and it's his imagination working on that, I think.
Do you think you'll ever visit there? Would you like to visit there?
no,
The painting is enough.
yes.
Yeah.
Mind you, New Zealand, which we haven't done yet, very good. And like, you know, that's the sort of thing we manage it.
That would be a
3
nice
years'
place to
time.
go.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
So that won't be in the next exhibition.
that'll be the one after. It's very difficult, but hard work and yeah, very much so.
So you retrained yourself
Yes,
to paint with your left hand?
Yes.
So you were right-handed before
Yes.
the stroke?
yes, 4 6 years,
Wow.
yes. But you know, it managed eventually, and so, you know, I was able to do it again. I think, you know, it's pretty good actually.
Amazing.
Yes. Pretty marvellous, huh? Yes. No, well, one has to do something.
Thank you to Courtyard for looking after us all these years. You know, it's just lovely to be here maybe a couple of times a month and see all the exhibitions as they come round. So we really like that. But, you know, and again, just being part of the community and getting to know all the artists and understand what makes them tick a little bit more.
Yeah. Courtyard Arts, it's very nice. It was terrible at first, everything. But yes, after a while, you know, the better it comes. And it's very good. And I think, you know, it's pretty marvellous actually.